Our next forum is called Publishing and Digitizing Content. And today I would like to introduce you Ms. Jerzy Randon, the Senior Manager of Patridge Publishing in Philippines. Encik Faiz Al-Shahab, who is the co-founder of eCentral. And our panel moderator will be Tuan Arief Hakim Sani bin Rahmat, the President of Mabopal. So to you, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be joining you all today for this Digital Education Odyssey 2.0. I'm Jerzy Randon, the Senior Manager of Patridge Publishing. Do you have a story to tell? Let's get that published. At the end of this video, you will learn the 4 paths to publishing available for you today. You will be able to identify the best publishing path for you and your book, and get to know Patridge Publishing and how to get published. This is the 4 paths to publishing. The ever-changing nature of publishing industry has produced 4 clear paths for authors to achieve their publishing goals. The past decade has brought about more upheaval in the publishing industry than the previous 400 years combined. However, over the course of the last decade, the publishing world has undergone an indie revolution similar to what occurred in the film and music industries. First path, DIY publishing. DIY, this stands for do it yourself. This is a self-publishing option in which an author uses an upload tool like Lulu to create a book and get into distribution. Advantage of DIY publishing: usually the least amount of financial investment needed to publish a book in at least one format. Disadvantages: formats and distribution can be limited. Most options do not have any professional services available. So, an author has to find the services needed to complete the project apart from the publishing solution. Second option, general contractor. This requires hiring a number of independent service providers, such as an editor, book designer, publicist, and coordinating those activities. Advantage: well, you select the individuals who work on every aspect of your book. However, this can require the most time and money depending on the scope of the project. Third path, supported self-publishing. You work with a supported self-publishing company whose bundles of services help you get your book and cover designed in print, digital formats, in distribution, and available for sale. Advantage: this is a one-stop shop for everything you need to publish, promote, and distribute your book. And you have selection, services, and convenience. Disadvantage: this can require the most time and money, depending on the scope of the project. Fourth, path to publishing. Traditional publishing. Historically, if you had a manuscript or book proposal, you needed to find an agent to represent you. Then, he or she would take the project to publishers with the intent to sell it and get an advance against future royalties. Advantage? You may get an advance, and the publisher will typically improve your manuscript using their editorial expertise. Plus, they may have sales force to push your book. Disadvantages? Fewer new titles and authors are being traditionally published, so the odds of getting picked up are reduced. It usually takes the longest time of any of the options to get to the market. Here's a simple illustration to help you better understand your options. For do-it-yourself or the DIY publishing, it's like making a meal at home. General contractor, it's like going to a grocery store, food or salad bar. Supported self-publishing, this is going to a full-service restaurant. I'm sure you want that. Traditional, having someone order and pay for you at a restaurant. Choosing a publishing path is like choosing how you want to eat your meal. These are trade-offs between convenience and cost to consider. How do you know which path is best for you? There's 4 things to consider. First, what are your goals and expectations? Second, what are your skills and experience? Third, time commitment. And fourth, do you have the budget? Now, get to know how to get a book published with Patridge Publishing. So, why Patridge? It's our mission to give all aspiring authors in Southeast Asia direct access to expert publishing services that include consultation and support from a team of industry professionals, local and online book distribution, book availability in print and digital formats, editing, cover, and layout design. Whether you're writing your 5th book or going for your debut, we provide the tools and support you need to achieve your publishing goals. Patridge Publishing has over 5,000 published titles by over 1,000 authors since 2012. International reach with local distribution partners in Malaysia and Singapore. We have 5 publishing packages for you. Reasons for publishing a story are varied. Patridge Publishing recognizes this diversity, so we have designed a range of publishing packages with this in mind. We have amethyst, topaz, diamond, gold, and platinum. Amethyst, this is a mix of modern with the traditional as you release your story in both ebook and paperback formats. Topaz package, this would give readers more format options by making your book available in hardcover and establish your book's presence online with your very own website. Diamond, get your book evaluated with an editorial assessment to gauge what level of editing could help polish and get more services for your marketing campaign. Gold package, if you want to reach out to local readers, this is the package for you. This package offers you the opportunity to get your book stocked at a local bookstore. Platinum, enjoy a premier publishing experience as we bring your story to life through a book video. So that's the 5 publishing packages available for you with Patridge Publishing. So at this point, you already know the 4 paths to publishing a book, and you were able to get to know as well how to get your book published with Patridge Publishing. Not sure yet which route is for you, or maybe you're ready to get started? Visit our website, partridgepublishing.com/Singapore or call 6033 099 4412 and speak with a publishing consultant. We will be happy to assist you. If you have questions, feel free to send them. We'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, just a quick overview of school digital textbooks in Malaysian landscape. I think digital textbooks is always a dream of all nation, but we have to put things into perspective on what is affordable and what is manageable for the landscape of each country. So in Malaysia, for example, it's different. I think it's more closer to the developing nation climate, yeah, around the region of Southeast Asia. So I think, without saying, it's everybody's aspiration in the education sector that this is the sort of future classroom that we want, right? With all of the augmented reality, with all the artificial intelligence and stuff like that. But of course, all these things don't come at a low cost, you know, and it's a big jump from where we are actually from right now. So in reality, like most of the developing nation are, having to work around a crowded classroom, having to work around a lot of lacking in equipment and stuff like that. And this is due because this is what the nature of the country's landscape usually, right? So in order to jump into digital, we have to speak about what would be affordable and what would be realistic in terms of how we want to do digital textbooks, so that it is something that is worthwhile doing. So let's just have a look at Malaysia as a country. So it's a country with about 6 million students in primary and secondary school. In Malaysia also we have about 10,000 schools, and a lot of these schools are small schools in remote areas. Different to popular beliefs, there is no internet in classrooms in Malaysia, yeah? In classrooms. So there's internet in school. Normally they are in the teacher's room and also in what they call the pusat sumber, or the library, but not in the classrooms. So technically we're talking about working around digital textbooks without usage of internet, yeah? And then we're also looking at bring your own device policy. So meaning that students with their own affordability, their parents' affordability, are then most likely going to bring their own devices of different brands, of different screen size, of different processing power, and it can even be smartphones for that matter, because it's unlikely that developing nations can afford to finance the whole entire 6 million students with tablets, right? So based on this particular notion, I think it's only fair to say that the whole idea of going digital initially is to save costs. Okay, so the world is facing a problem whereby pulp is increasing in cost by the day, logistics are becoming more pricey, shippings are more expensive, especially coming from abroad, and that for a country like Malaysia, the growing population is at a double digit every year for primary students, yeah? So because of these factors, then most likely to finance the printed textbooks moving forward would be a very challenging proposition. So it has to be switched to digital somehow or rather, right? But along with the cost saving practice, it is also inspired that we can increase the quality of education via digital textbooks. We can reduce, of course, the costs for the government, yeah, since that printed textbooks are now fully funded, fully subsidized by the government, and of course automatically we will also reduce distribution costs. But at the same time, we want to maintain the cost for internet to be the same. So let's say if we talk about all of these factors, but at the same time we have to spend more on internet, for example, then it defeats the purpose on savings on print. Yeah. So digital is supposed to bring the cheaper solution. Now there are some factors that we need to consider. So we talk about the the beauty of having digital textbooks, of having smart classrooms, but in order to gain this, then there are some factors that we have to put into consideration. Now, if we start talking about wiring up all the classrooms in Malaysia with internet, then definitely the cost for the operating for operating digital textbooks would be much higher. Yeah, so once we talk about having to be online all the time, then the costs will be high. Not just because of having internet, but also having a very, very big bandwidth with it, because small bandwidths will not be sustainable for schools of 1,000 students or 1,500 students, right? The other factor is the device. So the moment that we say that, yep, we're going to finance device, one student, one device, or whatever policy that you have, then of course the cost for this to finance this sort of education will skyrocket again once more. Yeah. Now there are other so-called studies around the globe that shows that when nations go into digital education and wire up schools and stuff like that, a lot of the calculation miss out the factor of power. So electricity is another factor that needs to be counted for. So the moment that you have a lot of devices, then there's going to be a lot of gadgets and tablets and stuff like that are needing to be charged up, even though it is the responsibility of parents and students, but technically electricity will also go up somehow or other. So this is another thing that we need to manage. And in essence, the way we want to do it is that whilst we switch to the digital, the cost for internet, the cost for device, and also the cost for electricity remains the same. Yeah, it doesn't go up. So how do we put all these things into consideration and make digital textbooks viable? So in Malaysia, I think, or in any developing nation, there are two things that we have to consider. One is that the content, the textbook's content, will only have to be a one-time downloadable content. So forget about e-learning and all this sort of stuff, because these are items that require a lot of internet bandwidth, right? So if we talk about schooling from home, it's a separate matter. But if you go into classrooms, then we can't consider internet as one option. So it has to be a file that you can download one time, but you want to have this file to be also smart. It doesn't just remain static like a PDF. It can contain a lot of other things. So in order to do that, we have to do it from the design, from the start, right? So when you want to consider such things, you have to have an authoring tool that manage the standards of the file that you produce to be the same. So it is an interactive file, yeah, that can support animation, that can support plugins, yeah, widgets, 3Ds, modeling and video, of course, all of this to be digital, right? Born digital, without consideration of print, and that it will be light and nimble enough for you to download. So this is the way that you do things, and you keep it into one standardization. So you build it using one standard and one authoring tool, right? And from there, it can render into different operating system. And the second part of it is how you then disseminate this content. So you have a content which you've already made rich. It can then respond to different screen sizes, different whether if it's portrait, landscape, smartphone, whatnot. It can be liquid enough to adapt to all these screen sizes, and it can also work in desktops and application. And the reason being is because we don't know what students are going to bring into classrooms. So you have to make it nimble enough that these digital textbooks, the moment that you download it only one time, let's say at the start of the schooling year, then it doesn't matter what type of device it is, it can render in all of these devices that students bring to schools or that students use at home. Yeah, so this is a very important factor that you have to tackle. And the moment that you can tackle this, then you can tackle most of the other problems that you might come again. So with our development and progress in the loading of the process can be simplified over technology such as Bluetooth beacon and peer-to-peer sharing, whereby files can be distributed without internet in classroom. For those schools which are quite remote, it requires maybe one teacher to download the files into one iOS and one Android device, and from there it can go around sharing the file to all the devices that doesn't have the files or access to internet. So this is a very good technology that can be used in education and to support the low bandwidth issue around the world. I mean, the whole notion of 4G and 5G is brilliant, but in financing it for education is one other thing. This is just a quick video on how the authoring tool works and how it can then be disseminated and be married to big data and the rest of it as well. Okay, I'd just like to wrap up by just sharing some statistics. As of now, this particular initiative of dissemination of interactive digital textbooks have already dispersed more than 1.5 million files, amongst 400,000 students all around Malaysia currently that uses this particular application.
Thank you very much anyway, Faiz. Okay, I would like to invite Tuan Arief to be the moderator of this forum.
Right. Thank you, David. Based on my timer, we have about 8 minutes left. So I have a couple of questions for both of you, for Faiz and for Jerzy. So I'm going to alternate between both of you to give time. So for both of you to speak. Let's start with Jerzy first. Patridge is the brand, is an imprint that you use in Asian market, so people know, so the audience know. How does Patridge help authors to market or promote their book?
For Patridge, we have wide selections of marketing services. We believe that books are products, and if we have products to sell, marketing and promotion is a must. So for our authors, we give our authors opportunity to market their book through radio online. We market through publicity. We do have book videos. We join book exhibits, give authors to do book signings in galleries. We also have marketing through cinema and internet. There's also an opportunity for authors through our Hollywood services for their books to be adapted through film through our Hollywood services. Also, depending on the publishing packages author chooses, we can also display their books in physical bookshops in Singapore and Malaysia.
Well, that's quite a lot of channel. Faiz, about digital textbook in Malaysia, specifically for Malaysian landscape. What are the major difference between, you talk about digital textbook versus other digital platform, for example, like e-learning? What are the difference between these two?
So e-learning is usually an environment. And in this environment, the students and teachers will require to have internet most time, right? For them to collaborate, for them to do work and stuff like that. Of course, this is the ideal solution because then you can get real life data, right? But if you want to compare that with infrastructure, then maybe a downloadable textbook is better. So the main difference is that textbooks should be downloadable. So the downloadability allows the student to be offline. only require, internet at one portion of the time only.
All right. Jerzy, if we publish with
Yes,
Patridge, for example, for example, me, I publish with Patridge, will my book get a global distribution?
Yes, Arief, it's global. We work with both local and international distributors. So your book would be available for orders by local bookshops and also sold on major retail sites like Amazon. So you get the best of both worlds.
Wow. Faiz, we go back to the school, the public school in Malaysia. Well, for example, in privileged school, they have internet in classroom, they have device. Why downloadable digital textbook still relevant? Why not just streaming?
So I think if you can have it to be downloaded and kept in the device for the whole year, that's one less problem for the student and one less problem for the teacher, because you're not going to be using it all the time in the classroom, right? So you might be on the move, and sometimes you don't have internet connection. So because of that, it's more practical that your core document, like textbooks, should be downloadable and you can install it inside your device. But at the same time also, if you look in our privileged schools, right, private schools and stuff like that, although they have internet, but in today's sense, the internet, or let's say the education infrastructure that is on offer is actually meant for something that is a lot more powerful, like 5G. Okay, so 4G, it would be nice at a really nice environment, no rain, not many students and stuff like that. But the moment you have a bit of interference, then you're going to have disruption in the service. So in order to wait for 5G, it will take a while. Meantime, I think downloadable content is still very, very relevant.
All right. Jerzy, what kind of editorial support you provide for author?
I'm sorry?
What kind of editorial support can you provide for author who subscribe to your service?
Yeah, that's a good question. With Patridge, we have a copy editing service and advanced editorial service. But before we edit, we do editorial assessment first to determine what level of editing the manuscript needs. So during this assessment, we examine an excerpt of the book or the manuscript, and then we provide a sample edit, and then suggest the right type of editing after editorial assessment. So yeah, so we have the copy editing and advanced editorial services.
I see. So of course, these extra services will require incur more cost for the author, is it?
Yes, editing is very important, and we give options to authors to enhance the content of their book through the right type of editing.
Okay, yeah, I do agree. Editing is actually very essential in our field.
That's right.
Faiz, what is your opinion when people say that digital textbook can just be a replica of the print book, just like PDF copy of the print book? What would you say to that?
Okay, so we need to treat it as two different worlds. Okay. The digital world and then the conventional world. So the conventional world, of course, we know that things can work on train, and we've been living this way for hundreds of years. Now things have changed in a different format, and the way that human beings process things are also different. So they're reading things from fixed device rather than following the size of paper and stuff like that, right? So you need to create contents which are already answering to that particular problem. So the problem of how people consume, right? Using smartphones, using tablets and all that sort of stuff, rather than back in the days, it used to be a paper form and stuff like that. So for that particular reason, you can't adapt something that was designed for print, right? And answer all the questions that you have for digital. Sometimes it just doesn't fit. It's just the same way that you create something that is born digital with interactivity and all that, and you want to make a print version of it. So when you print, then all the video and all that doesn't work. It doesn't answer the advantages of digital, you know. So it has to be how does it designed from? It has to be implemented from the design.
Do we have the time, or do we have to start? Because it looks like we are 1:46 now.
I've got to make an announcement to everyone. Actually, I just want to introduce you to the book industry leaders. All right. Now, Encik Arief here is the president of the Malaysian Book Publisher Association. So if you already have your book published and you want to join an association to see how you're going to sell your books and how to publish, who are the buyers and stuff like that, you contact Arief. All right. He represents the industry. I'm the Malaysian Booksellers Association president. If you want to sell your books, you can ask me, or we can actually teach you how to sell your books. And Faiz is actually the guru of everything digital. All right. The whole Malaysian digital publishing initiative is on his shoulder. So
That's
basically,
exaggeration, but yeah,
do a lot of work in serving the country for free, pro bono. We are always called to meeting almost every other week to do with anything to do with books. And of course, Jerzy has always been, Patridge has always been a really cool publishers. It helps a lot of people. I want to bring up one thing is that if you want to look at examples of how the books are done, whether you're a child or an adult or stuff like that, you can actually drop by our section 14 Patridge showroom. I am so surprised because many kids, even though it's in primary school, they already got their books published by Patridge. You see, those days when our kid has a talent, they wrote a really nice story. Being parent, wow, that's wonderful, you know. But you approach a publisher, they said, how many copies? Color 3,000, black and white 1,000. I checked my whole family member and friends only got 50 people. I don't know how to put the 950 copies. That's why we do on print on demand. But now if you find that your kid has a talent, go and get it published.
It's
Because
the
you can tell the adults.
democratization, kid.
Yeah, I'm 7 years old. I'm a successful published author.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one very important thing to note is that because this year there's a major issue in the Malaysian textbooks, a lot of books are not available in the market because the delivery is late to every school. And a lot of public school actually buy up all the private school textbook in the market. So we have a huge problem. And we are so glad that Faiz has actually came to the rescue. Faiz actually built a platform to put in all the Malaysian textbook to be on sale to the public in partnership with us. And we are also embarking on a journey to onboard as many English books as possible into the platform. So do contact us if you have good story to tell, you have a good book to sell. All right, over to you, Arief, to do the closing remark.
So it's 1:49 now. I know I'm going to drag the whole thing. So thank you very much to our panelists, to Jerzy. Thank you very much to Faiz. And
most welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Back to David.
You're welcome. Thanks, Arief, and everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Arief. All right. Thank you, Jerzy, Encik, Faiz, and Tuan Arief.